day 4. Just been driving over listening to my new favourite podcast again, Sigma Nutrition. This week they've got Danny Lennon and Alan Flanagan, which are the 2 hosts, taking some listener Q&As. So one of the listeners had written in and they were highlighting the point about government interventions and how people feel around that. I know it's always interesting to get into political aspects of health and nutrition. The point that was raised is about how much governments should intervene with policies and dictating what people should do with their lives. I know a lot of people feel really strongly about big government being inept and they shouldn't be telling them what to do. People should be able to make their own decisions. But I'm probably like left-leaning. What we don't see is that a lot of product manufacturers and large companies, they want to sell their product, and they're going to sell their product the best way they know how. And if that means you're going to, eat that chocolate bar, smoke those cigarettes, drink that alcohol more, they make more money. So there's an incentive for them to get you to do it as much as possible. And they're not thinking about your health, they're thinking about their profits. So you're already being encouraged, pushed, led to a certain behaviour, and that's with someone that does not have your best interests. Whereas I think, yes, governments aren't perfect, but generally, especially if it's public health, I think we're very lucky in this country that we have these well-established organisations that will enact policies based on evidence. So one of the ones was the sugar tax, and that's actually shown to be quite successful. If it reduces the amount of sugar people eat or drink, and one of the things I've noticed is a lot less places actually offer things like full fat Coke, full sugar. It's a small change as well. I don't think that affects choice. You can still get the other one, it's not the first choice anymore, it's not the easy choice, and the health consequences, the benefits are substantial. So yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Hey, so I've been spending the morning with one of the Dietetic Assistant Practitioners. So in dietetics, there's a few different types of clinicians. You've got dietetic assistants, then there's dietetic assistant practitioners, and then you have the dietitians, and then you go into the specialist dietitians. So the DAs and the DAPs, which is what they call for short. In my experience, they seem to be like the rock of the department. They know how everything runs, and the person that has been there a little bit longer and just understands all of the processes behind how referrals come in. So they're really good to speak to find out, what if you need a bit of information about where something's kept or how the process works. Really useful. So Lady today was just explaining about her role, how she supports the dietitians, how she often puts a lot of plans in place. From what I've seen as well, so a lot of people might work as a DA to get experience to then go into dietetics. So you get experience of how a department works, nutrition knowledge, speaking to patients. So a really good route in if you are interested in doing a dietetics degree. Also, there's progression within the role then. So you become a dietetic assistant practitioner, which opens up the role quite a bit, and you can start to specialise and have your own caseload as well. So going out to patients and seeing them direct. But yeah, good morning, good start. So I'm going to do a telephone review of a patient, a little information gathering beforehand, and just to see how they're getting on following discharge from hospital. In Bridgend, we've got Ysbyty Seren, which is the post-COVID hospital. It's where patients go whilst they're still recovering before discharge. So because there aren't quite enough dietitians to do the usual discharge reviews, we're now doing that in the community. So I'm helping out with that this morning. So yeah, it's going well. Not long left today. We're just at a Teams meeting covering one of the assignments, so quite nice really. The course includes an assignment that is a job application. So essentially you get credits for putting together a personal statement, and then you've got that ready when it comes time to apply for jobs. So I quite like the idea of that. We've had quite a lot of support and guidance for completing that as well, so that's been really useful. Running through the process of applying for jobs, so obviously you've got the NHS jobs website where you can upload an application on where things are listed. So they said keep an eye on there, in particular look at personal specification, and make sure that when you are writing your personal statement that you are clearly evidencing how you meet each one and give an example. So that was useful. I've also been completing my end of week review, so I did find these a little bit onerous, especially towards the start. I find reflecting isn't always very easy. You have to be in the right mood for it. So it takes you through a process of considering how you've developed in each aspect of your placement learning outcomes. And when I was looking back at placement 2 ones towards the end, because we had to write an assignment based on them, I did find it really useful. It was quite nice to have this detailed analysis of how I'm feeling each week, how I feel I've progressed in each of my learning outcomes. It is something I'm trying to do more in my personal life now, where you reflect upon where you are just in life, and you feel, how you're progressing, what your goals are for the future. And it's amazing the difference, just like writing down, I would like to achieve this, makes it a much more concrete goal, and I think you're far more likely to achieve it. And hopefully, becoming a dietitian's been one of them, and that looks like it might be coming to fruition sometime in the future, so that'll be nice. So I thought I'd finish the day with a quick fact that I heard on my journey home. It's to do with breakfast. So common conception is that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and it doesn't necessarily bear out in the evidence. So what a lot of studies have found is that it is particularly important for young school-age children, and can make a big difference to their learning, especially as they're growing. They probably need lots of opportunities to get calories and nutrients in. For people who are older, and maybe if you don't have an appetite in the morning, then it's not necessarily necessary. That's a tongue twister. Unless there's some obvious deficiency that we're trying to correct. But yeah, not necessarily the best meal of the day if you haven't got an appetite.